So the four of us were put together by our boss, Peter Williams, and we were charged with the task to become the best native Bright-based designers we could be, and help to simplify and streamline our courses to stabilize them and improve the experience. And so that's what we've been doing for the last semester and a half, and we get to share that with you today. Some of these things are actions that you can take on your own, but most of them are going to be improvements that you can request to put into the reference course to improve your courses permanently. At the end, okay, how do you make it go? Sean, did you take that?
You guys had my view on what you need to do.
Okay, that's why we have an IT guy. So when you started your 3.0 course, well, how many of you are already in 3.0? Okay, good. If you were like me, you were probably excited, and there's this really cool slide that shows a guy like this. You were probably really excited about the new system. I know as a designer anyway, Brain Honey was good, but there were things I wished I could do in the courses that I just couldn't do, and was really excited about the opportunities that 3.0 presented. But then I noticed, then there's another really good slide, that there was a gap, right? There was a gap between what I wanted to have happen and what I was experiencing. I helped in one of the earlier pilots in 3.0 and was so excited, and then after 3 days hated it. So I have since been able to figure out how to like the system, how to make it work, and how to actually really appreciate some of the things that it does. A lot of the people that I speak with that have taught in it, after that initial learning about the new system, really like it and actually would not prefer to go back to 2.0. So that's encouraging as well. So after the cool guy jumping across the rock slide, we have, we will get to that. So just a couple of things that we're going to talk about in your course, or that you are teaching, or the one that you're going to teach. You may notice a couple of things that you would like to change. For example, maybe your calendar is a disaster. It's a possibility, right? We can show you how to clean that up so that it's actually a useful tool in your class. That would be great. We're also going to talk about improving discussion experiences, quiz grading experiences, and some navigation options in your course as well. At the end of that, so we're going to kind of give you this fire hose of ideas and information, and then we're actually going to break up into 4 small groups, and each one of us is going to talk to you in a group and say, okay, pull up a course. What do you think? Let's get some ideas. And so that's what we're going to use the last 15 minutes or so for, or the last 20 minutes, and the last 5 we'll just kind of pull it back together and say, okay, now you have some ideas. Now what? What do you do with those ideas? Okay. So discussion boards, you know what they look like, so what it means like. If your discussion boards are a little unwieldy, it might be that your course was one of the first ones that are transitioned. And as you've heard from people at the conference, we've learned a lot each semester, right? So you poor people that pioneered for us, thank you. And so if you're in 2.0, sometimes your lesson notes would say, instructors, if you want to use a grouped discussion board, create it, right? And then attach it to your discussion board. You do not want to do that in 3.0, trust me. It takes literally hours to set up group discussion boards in 3.0. So let us do it for you, because you really won't want to. And so if you've got 50 students working in a discussion board and 247 posts, nobody wants to do that. The students don't want to navigate that. Like, it's really hard. So you can request group sets to be created for your discussion boards. But maybe you have the opposite problem. Maybe you have too many groups. I was speaking to somebody and their course was transitioned, and for some reason they were given 10 groups in their course. Okay, you can't have a discussion with 3 people, okay? So if you have too many groups, there's a couple of things that you can do. One is a change that you can do on your own, and you don't need to send in a course improvement. Maybe you just have a low enrolling section right now, but normally it's not a problem. You don't need to request a change for that, right? But if you do have something that's a more permanent, I have too many groups situation, then that is something that you want to send in as a request for a fix. So if it's a temporary situation, you can leave groups empty. Please don't delete them. That causes all kinds of crazy things to happen in Brightspace. But you can leave them empty. So if you've got self-enrolling groups or just a regular discussion board, it's not a project where students have to meet synchronously or anything like that. Regular discussion board groups, you can leave some empty. Just manually move the other students out, just similar to what you did in 2.0. And then you can have 3 groups instead of 10. Okay. But then, like I said, if it is a permanent change that needs to be made, then you can do it.
We are back.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
Yeah.
Cool jumping slide. Okay. And Susan did our great slides for us.
Yeah, let's start that.
Oh, because I skipped Shelleen. I'm really nervous. Sorry. We'll come back to Shelleen's slides.
This is you.
Okay, this me. We talked about that. Too many groups. Okay, sometimes your discussion board is being used when it shouldn't be. When some of the first courses were transitioned, journals don't exist in 3.0. Journals did exist in 2.0, and so they weren't sure how to bring it over. And so when they transitioned it, they transitioned them as discussion boards. They transitioned it as a discussion board with 50 groups. So every student was in their own group, and that's how they submitted their journals. That could work. Or you could just have the students keep a Word doc and they could turn it in. That might be easier. Because we all know that those are far easier to grade than a discussion board, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's in a Dropbox?
Yes, yeah. So you could just have a request to be changed to a Dropbox. Yep. Okay, so if you've got a journal, that might be an easier way to do it. The students can just date their entry, put the new ones at the top, turn it in, however many times during the semester they need to turn it in. I think it's a far easier, sorry guys, it's a far easier way to do it than a discussion board. And good news, discussion board rubrics work. We're so excited. So yes, and they push to the gradebook. I know, it's another thing, it's great. So if you don't have discussion board rubrics in your courses, I would suggest requesting some. And if you need help writing them, you can request some help with that. A good tip is to be able to focus on your outcomes, right? And make sure you're testing the things and assessing the things you really want to know. Another thing to check with your discussions, for those of you that have 3.0 courses, this will make sense. If you're not there yet, it's okay. You can ignore this because yours will probably be right anyway. We were trying to save students some clicks by adding discussion topics to a lesson instead of the forums, because it was saving the need to click on the discussion board area for the students. We thought it was saving them a click. It kind of was, but then it was causing problems. They couldn't navigate in the discussion board itself from post to post. So if in your lesson, you're in lesson 3, you click on lesson 3, you see there's a discussion board, you click on it. What you see next is important. If you see this part next as the instructor, so you can see if it's a grouped discussion board and you can see what's in there. If it's not grouped, you just won't see those. You'll just see one topic there. If you see this, you're in good shape. If you see this, you're not. Okay? This is the one where students get stuck and they can't navigate from post to post. When they try, it knocks them out and they go back to the lesson. They have to get back in. So if you're seeing a decreased amount of participation on your discussion boards from what you were seeing before, this might be the problem. And it's super easy fix. Okay? It'll take us 15 minutes, literally. Okay? So this is something that you can request be changed in your course if that's a problem for you. Quiz grading, because that's so much fun. In 2.0, quizzes worked better, far better than assignments did. Okay, in 3.0, assignments work so much better than quizzes. So there's a couple of options that you can do. The first thing that you can do, if you have assessments of whatever type with auto-graded questions and instructor-graded questions, you can split them if you use points, not a weighted grading system. Okay, if you use weighted grading system, this one's not for you. But if you use points, you can have the auto-graded one here. You can split it and have a part 2 with the instructor graded, and then you don't have to go through all of that messy stuff. You can just go through and grade these on your own, publish your grades, go through. You can also grade by question. Remember to take a look at that. If you're not in 3.0 yet, write that down for fall. Grade by question. You want to know about that. Something to consider is with your tests, if you need the test security for whatever reason, it's a final or you're worried about some kind of national test you're preparing students for, then you want to make sure that you have the security that an exam can afford. If you don't need it, maybe it's a summative assessment. One of your options is to take these questions out of here and put them in a Dropbox so that you can grade them easier. Students can complete them and turn them in easier. So that's an option for you as well. The other one, if you are going to keep them this way so that you're grading the quiz questions, if the instructor is grading quiz questions, you want to make sure that these 2 check boxes are not checked. What that allows you to do is it allows you to finish grading the test before students see their grades. Right? Have you gotten those emails? Why do I have an F? Yeah, well, because, so you want to uncheck those. Okay? That's a request that you can make, so that'll be done in the master course, and you don't have to do it every time on your own. Okay? So then you'll grade them. You'll grade the questions that are left for you to grade in the assessment. Then you can publish the grades when you're ready, instead of students seeing the D or F before you grade your questions. I hope I'm saying everything. I have no idea where I am on my paper.
This is your last one.
Okay, your lesson notes. The courses that are being transitioned now, we're updating lesson notes as part of the transition process, so that we take out words like flunk unsubmitted, right? We don't have that button anymore. We're telling you to create your own groups. We're taking out words like that and adding in things like release grades so students can see them. Reminding you to do that in lessons 1 and 3 so that they can see their cumulative grade. So we're updating those lesson notes as we go. If you don't have updated lesson notes and you're still say things like this in them, you can request that those be updated. If they need to be updated because they're from like 3 versions of the course ago, you can request that too, of course. Yes.
Do you guys update those, or is the OCR, because I'm an OCR right now and our lesson notes are completely
a mess.
Yeah. And it's going to take me hours, but there's so much course specific stuff there.
Yep.
Can I work with somebody, or?
Yes, so here's how that happens. We write the part that has to do with the system, you write the part that has to do with the content.
Deal.
Okay. Okay, good. Any questions on this part of it? Yeah.
I love to use the notes from instructor announcement in Island 2.0, now in Island 3.
Yes.
Where should I post my hints in that I've always put in the notes from instructor?
It goes into the announcements or the news. I can't remember which name we're using for that right now.
I know that
Announcements.
becomes so big that the students just ignore it.
You can also post it, if you want it in your weekly content, you can put it in the questions and conversations board or put a link to it there. You can try that too.
Any resources, that maybe like a video or something that says, okay, this is how we did it in Island 2, this is how you do it in Island 3. Is there something like that anywhere out
Do
there?
what? Like
Well, I mean,
everything?
just like what he said, like, okay, this is how we used to do instructor notes, this is how you do it in Island 3. I mean, is there anything like
If you want to
that?
jot that down, we can ask instruction about that.
The boot camp.
In the boot camp.
It's in boot camp, thank you.
So there's also a community group in the online instruction community for Island 3, and they'll have a lot of discussions like that. And Dave Ashby and Brad Barson are in there posting stuff all the time from boot camp to help with those questions.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Okay, so one of the frustrations that came over was the calendar got really full. In Island 2, due dates did one thing. Like there was one, right? You could do a couple of different things, but there was only one. In Island 3, there's up to 6 different dates that we can attach to items. And so that can make the calendar really unwieldy. And when they were doing those first transitions, they just said, oh, look, we want to turn it on, we want to turn it off, and it's due this date. And those weren't necessarily all the same dates. So students were getting really confusing, really overwhelming messages from the calendar. And it's not a due soon list. Nothing falls off of this. So we really need to make it useful. Nothing should go on that calendar that is not informational, right? This due date, and just give them the due date. They don't need to know when it starts, when it turns off. Maybe you accept late work, so you have it turn off a week later. They don't need to know that on their calendar. It's just confusing. So this has been something that even designers have spent a lot of time learning. So talk to us, turn it in, say, boy, we really have a confusing calendar here, and we can cut through that with you and make it so it makes sense and what is there is useful to students. One other sticking point here is that iLearn3 does not scale due dates, right? It's not midnight where you live now. It is whatever, where you live. If your time was here locally, Saturday 11 p.m., look over here in Australia, we're Sunday at 4:30 p.m. It doesn't make sense. So one of the things that had to happen was we had to take days out of the writing. And that's hard, right? Because I want to look at that write-up and say, this is due on Tuesday. So one of the things that we put together, and this will be in your courses. If it's not, it's something you can request, but it's an explanation of what's going on. Because one of the things that we did, if you had just two due dates, right? You have a Wednesday, Saturday setup. Then we changed it to a midweek and end of week, okay? Because we can't put in Wednesday, right? That might be Thursday for someone. So that explanation would be in this page. This particular class that it's set up for has 3 different due dates, right? And a lot of classes do. This one has a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. They are all set Mountain Time, okay? And they'll get used to that, right? They'll know that that's Wednesday, their time, whatever. But at the top of their page, they will be able to find that nomenclature. Due by the end of the week, okay? That your end of week due date or due date 1, that's when this is due for you. Now, in their full setup, their content view, we call it, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? To students with like, what is content? It's like 20 different things. So when they get in there, right underneath it, they can see, hey, this is due June 25th at 9 p.m. for me, right? That's when I have to turn it in my local time. So that's why sometimes they'll say, see calendar. A lot of them will just say that your end of week due date, your due date 1, due date 2. So really getting students to read that explanation is going to be huge. And that's one of the reasons we want you guys to know about it. And it's not in all the classes yet. So if it's not in your class, turn that in. It's a really easy fix. And one of the most important parts to understand in this transition is we don't have that master derivative anymore. So if you have a class that there's 10 sections of, it doesn't happen in 10 sections unless you turn it in. And you're going to get really frustrated really fast if we don't turn in those things that need to be fixed and get them fixed in the reference so that every semester it comes to you. You don't want to have to fix that stuff time after time after time. So make sure that you're turning it in and that you can get the help. Yeah.
So were you saying that when the students log on and look at this, it's going to say the due date and time in there?
Yes.
Time.
Yeah. So there's times that show up for them and on their calendar will be their local time. But if we put it in the, in the writing and it says Saturday at midnight, it's going to be very confusing because, boy, that's not Saturday at midnight, right? So what is it? How many emails does that generate, right? You're loving it. Okay. One other thing, I'll just throw this out there.
Just as long as they've gone in and done what you told them
Yes,
to do.
yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, if you don't have that in your course now, it's going to show up at 11 p.m.
Right. If you don't, and that will be explained here, and this will tell them how to do it. They have to update their settings. Okay. They have to go in and tell them what time zone they're in, right? So it will not scale. It will think that they're here. So, but that's true. They only have to do it once their whole experience here. Not every semester, not all the time, but it's a really good place to look. If they're missing deadlines and they're like, I'm so confused, why is this? Okay, point them back here. First of all, make sure you understand your local dates and make sure you're set to the right time so they'll show up correctly. Yeah.
So if I understand right, 2.0 went off with their IP address, and so it just told them, but this one doesn't.
It does
So
not.
it's- Okay.
You've got to have them set it up so it will show them the right time. And then that explanation is huge. Now that tells them when one thing is due, right? But that's not the big picture. So the next big picture piece that we built was the weekly patterns. Every week, you're going to have this activity, this activity, this activity, right? So that's when it's going to be due, always. They're always Tuesdays. Most of our classes have a pretty good pattern in them. So that will be there. And then it also has this option too. Hey, we have major projects or exams that are outside the norm, right? Your paper will be due this week, so maybe you need to set it aside extra time, flag it. This, again, you can see it's course specific. So we want to get it into the reference course and we want to get it correct and keep it correct, right?
Are you still referring to calendaring here, or is this
where do they
something else
find
in the
this?
course? Where are they going to find something like
This
this?
is another page. So,
So if they don't have it, we could ask to have
right,
something like
exactly. So let me be clear. This is a page that if it's not in your course, we need to get it requested and get it in there. We do have a project looking across trying to get, some of this stuff in the first ones. But we have, 300 courses. So let us know. We really, really want to get the students the information.
And if we have a new course going in, you guys are already building these.
Right, right. Okay, so then this is that overview, kind of my whole class picture, what I need to do. I could just print this out, right, and know what's going on. And then and notice it has due date 1, due date 2, due date 3, so I can just write the top of that. That means Wednesday at 3 p.m. for me. And I've got it.
Now, is that another page on this, how to understand due dates?
Okay, so how to
It comes
understand,
with it?
yeah, well, it won't necessarily, but if you want it, then you can request it in. If it's not there, normally we'll put them in together if we've got a newer class.
Where do you normally put that?
In the first lesson, in the welcome or in the introduction lesson, and we're still working through those. You'll need to find where it is for sure in yours. And like I say, point the students to them. The other nice thing that's on this page is expectations for those projects or for the daily kind of happenings, right? How many of you have students that are spending 2.5 hours in what should be a 20-minute project? Does that happen? It happens all the time. So you can point them to this. Look, we're only looking for a cursory read over here. You're not supposed to be spending 2.5 hours in this. Just skim through this, get kind of a general idea. We're going to do other stuff with it. You'll spend more time in it there, right? So those expectations are really nice here, and then especially big exceptions, right? Here's where your study sheet is. Here's where this is what your paper should look like. This will link them out to all of that, but it's just at one location.
And who's writing these expectation pages? Because that's enough of a work for our OCRs. They don't get paid enough to do all that.
Right, no. We do. All of this stuff this is why we're saying most of this is an improvement that you turn in. So what happened, let me explain maybe this process, because this is, I think, a really important process. How many OCRs are here? Okay, we're here because we get the emails, right? Okay, when you guys get those emails, you talk to your course lead and you turn it in, okay? And then our time gets allocated for these things, which means usually I'll call you and I'll say, okay, so here's what I understand, and maybe even here's a basic write-up of it. And you look over that and you go, oh boy, we really need, here's where those expectations are, right? Because most of them exist in the class already. Our paper expectation, it's sitting somewhere, but maybe we didn't get it in here. So we're gonna spend the time, but we're gonna also obviously work with you, right? You guys know your classes best. And sticking points, right? Something that we might need to really point out here. Like, by the way, do this, because you guys miss it every semester, right? So this is a great place. But it's that one-stop shop to find it, and that really is the idea, this simplify, one-stop shop, finding things. Now, the last thing that we put into place, and this is up to how you guys want to use it, but this is really one step further out. It's a bigger picture, okay? So this is, they can take every class that they're in, everything that they're doing, their callings, their parenting, all of those things that are going on in their lives, and especially online students, right? And they can put it all in one place. And you can use this, you could use this as a bonus assignment, you could use it as a required assignment, depending, you know, talking to your course lead, or you can just use it for something that they can choose to do. But we give them a template and they go through and they put all this time. What, hey, I should be spending 5 hours in this class, I should be spending 9. I can guarantee, right, most of our students are not spending the time that should be set aside, right? I said to my own daughter the other day, if you take 12 credits, how much time should you be spending in those? Are you spending 36 hours a week going to class and doing your homework? No way is she. No way. Not even. We're like, I'm happy for half, right? So this is part of that, helping them balance. So just depending on how you want to use it, but that's again just that one step out. Do you guys have any other questions for me on due dates?
That's found in the intro week.
It can be.
Yeah. Look at it either in the welcome folder or in the intro week. It is a little bit different setup in I-1-3, so.
If it's not their request.
Yeah, and if it's not the requested, this is getting them in there is quick.
How do you
They exist
request
already.
Is there a central
So,
email that we send things to?
Yeah, so if you are OCRs, if you're an instructor, you're gonna send it to your OCR. If you're an OCR, it goes on the request or the fix form, but make sure that you're letting us know it's an improvement. That is a different process, okay? And they should be filtering through you guys.
If we're in pilot, can we still add those?
If you're a pilot, then you should be talking to your,
Yeah, the course designer.
Yeah, to your course designer. Yeah. Yes,
Should have that.
absolutely. That's what we do all day.
You can stay here because I'm gonna be quick, so. So real quick, I think we might have burned past a little bit in our introduction, but the 4 of us were part of a kind of a mini task force they called us the I-3 recon team to figure out, because we had a lot of issues, right? That came up with Brightspace, especially with the cookie cutter transition from Brain Honey to Brightspace. They're 2 completely different systems, and the copy paste just didn't paste over well, right? And so, so we were tasked to figure out what are those gaps, what are students struggling with, what are instructors struggling with, and come up with some best practices. And what we did find is that most of those issues we can fix in design. It's not Brightspace that's broken. It's the cookie cutter design, or the cookie cutter process to transition that was really the thing that was broken. And so we really do hope that you will start the conversations with your OCRs, and if you're an OCR, with your course leads, to get these fixes requested for your courses. One of the things that we found as a research team was the students were just lost. Instructors were lost, everybody was lost. Everybody was lost, and it didn't get better as you got further into your course. Students were locked into these navigation loops where you tell them to go do something and take them out here, and then they have to go clear back in through the front door again to get back to where they were. And all these types of things. And these are things that we can fix in design. I'm not going to show you because of time. We want to get to some mini groups here and get your feedback. So I'm not going to show you what possibilities there are to fix the navigation, but just know we can fix navigation. We can streamline the navigation so it's a lot more intuitive for the student. So they're not getting lost in instructions and not getting lost in, if you have a module where you open up, you click on, week 1 or unit 1, lesson 1, whatever it is, and you have this giant page of instructions or this giant page of things, it just looks daunting. It's emotionally, draining to just look at the page. Like those types of things, we can fix that, okay? And so right now, what we would say is if you have some things like that, you're like, this navigation just stinks. Just put in the request saying this navigation stinks, and we'll look into it for you. You know what I mean? And we'll figure out what the issue is, right? Yeah, you can say it exactly like that. So I'm not going to get into that. I apologize just for time. We really do want to get to some time here in some mini groups to dive into some issues that you might be seeing and maybe talk through some possible solutions for problems or fixes that you can request in your own courses. So with that, I'll just turn it back to you, Shelleen.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and divide up into groups, but I want to make sure that everybody knows how to find their. There we go. How to find their OCR, their TGL, their OCR managers. The good news is so many of you guys are sitting here. The OCRs are already here, right? That's exciting. Every once in a while, we have somebody go MIA. And you need to be able to say, hey, I need help. We had an instructor that didn't know who her OCR was until she was halfway through a semester. That's really frustrating on both sides, right? You guys want to help, they want to help. So if you don't know, if you log into the online instruction community and click on directories, the bottom directory will take you to this. You can find your group directory, which that will take you even up to here, the people sitting in the offices here, okay? And you can just shoot them an email and say, hey, I've got somebody missing in action, and they can help you find that person. They can help you find you can find your OCR, your course counsel, your course lead, but this is the key right here. If it's not in the right semester, which is why she didn't know, and the OCR didn't know she was there because they were in the wrong semester. Okay, so we'll go ahead and break up into 4 groups, and then we'll come and chat with you, help you think through some of this stuff. But the most important thing is please turn in your pain points. Okay, get us. We can get that time. We can help you, but that's how you get us.